Hello and welcome to our introduction of NUS 752, Informatics for Healthcare Teams and Scholarly Inquiry. Now, if you were at the orientation recently, it's very likely that some of this information will be familiar to you. But nevertheless, I just wanted to offer another version of this introduction. And also, I will show you a little bit more of the course and the course calendar, which I will provide you a copy of once courses start. So as a review, just to share again the course description, the purpose of this course is to prepare nurse scientists to use informatics, electronic tools, and healthcare technologies for the purposes of nursing research. This course will focus on the use of informatics in the data management of individuals, groups, and organizations as the nurse scientist plans and executes a program of research. So overall, this course, though I really do hope that you gain informatics knowledge, I also hope that you are able to learn more about the practical side, the practical application of some of the tools that we have access to because of informatics. So again, as a review, we have 6 modules in this course. We will discuss informatics theory and metastructures, tools for research management and research application. In this module, that's where you're going to get that EndNote stuff that we kind of went over. Hopefully, the videos that I'll provide you will offer you more guidance or a refresher. Module 3, we're going to look at some databases for knowledge discovery, and we're going to do a secondary data analysis project. Module 4, we'll discuss nursing terminologies and classification systems, and we'll think about that broadly and how that affects research and how your research might be affected by this as well. We'll also talk about data visualization in Module 5, is a very hot topic in informatics, and then research in informatics. So again, as you all know, the course will be in Canvas, and I will show you a little bit more about that in just a bit. So again, I just wanted to offer you all another, broader introduction to what nursing informatics is. And so as we discussed a couple weeks ago, informatics is the convergence of information science, computer science, as well as nursing science. So multiple disciplines coming together to work and hopefully benefit patients in their care. So nursing informatics is a specialty area that is recognized by the ANA. As you can see here, this is a very long definition describing the specialty of nursing informatics. So the ANA has defined this as the specialty that integrates nursing science with multiple information analytical sciences. You see that asterisk, we'll go into that in just a second, to identify, define, manage, and communicate data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. And data, information, knowledge, and wisdom, that's the metastructures we'll talk about in nursing practice. So nursing informatics supports nurses, consumers, patients, the interprofessional healthcare team, and other stakeholders in their decision-making in all roles and settings to achieve desired outcomes. This support is accomplished through the use of information structures, information processes, and information technology. So as you can see from this definition, it is everywhere. Now, that asterisk that it was referred to in the last slide was related to analytical sciences. And so the ANA says that the sciences that are included in that list are here, but they're not limited to even to this list. So computer science, cognitive science, the science of terminologies and taxonomies, and that has to do with those naming and coding conventions that are ever important that we often don't think a lot about. Information management, library science, heuristics, archival science, and mathematics. So there's, again, a long list of sciences that influence the specialty of nursing informatics. So in the roles that are recognized by the ANA with regard to nursing informatics, you can see here what they are. Again, I think this has to do with the fact that informatics is just everywhere. We're seeing, we're working in really high-tech environments at this point in healthcare, and therefore we need people that have expertise with regard to technology, innovation in all of these spaces. So we'll jump into the metastructures, and again, we'll talk more about this in Module 1 in that informatics theory and metastructures content area. And you have some reading assignments related to this. But this is essentially the data to wisdom continuum. And you can see we start with data, information, knowledge, and wisdom go forward. There are examples here in this slide. And again, I'm not going to go into too much detail because you're going to get this in Module 1, but I just want to bring it to your attention because it is really very foundational to the study of informatics. Again, this is another version of that concept, that idea of data, information, and knowledge to wisdom. And you can see, you will see that there are many people who put their own spin on this continuum and what this means for their work or for informatics or nursing in general and more broadly. And I just wanted to offer this as an example as well. This is a framework that I developed in my dissertation research, and I want to share it for a couple reasons. Most importantly, to let you know that if I can do it, you can certainly do it too, because this is an area that I didn't think that I could really wrap my brain around. But doing this, working through this, finding a framework and modifying it to help explain and even illustrate, in this case, where my research fit in to the world of informatics, even more so within the world of nursing, helped me to begin to articulate it more clearly. So as you see these frameworks, models, theories, you learn more about it as you progress in your program, just consider what might work for you in your research and how you might even modify it or combine it with something else so that it helps you figure out and sort of anchor your work as you move forward. Now, I just want to mention, again, the goal of informatics is to use technology to bring critical and essential information to the point of care. We want to increase efficiency, make healthcare safer and more effective, and improve quality and outcomes. And I think we all realize this, but in the day-to-day practices, a lot of these things get lost or they're not used, they're not maximized. So as you think about your work and your research, consider this as well when you're moving forward. Now, informatics, the idea of informatics has certainly been around for a while because a lot of people believe that Florence Nightingale was the world's first nursing informaticist because of the way she worked to compile and process data, and she did that in an effort to advocate for the nursing care that she was providing. So when we consider how we need to educate nurses, that's certainly, that idea has been around from her day, but as we look forward with what we're dealing with now, we're in an era of information explosion and information overload. How do we need to educate nurses for the next decade? And the reason I bring this up, I know you're working on a research doctorate, but think about the work that you're doing, how that contributes to the care of patients, and does that even need to be discussed in education? Is there something new we need to do or teach our students as you move forward? So in thinking about educating nurses for the next decade, we need to consider EHRs, all of the data that we have in and access to in those, the interoperability that should be occurring versus what doesn't occur, cloud technologies, wearable technologies, big data, patient engagement, and patient empowerment. Now, there are lots of research trends in informatics, and the more technology that there is available, the more application and the more the many different ways people begin to use technology and informatics in the care of their patients and in their research. And so this is a very early model in the specialty of informatics. 1986, as you can see, this is dated. This is the nursing informatics pyramid, a model for research in nursing informatics. So I just show this as an illustration, just so that you have an idea of the various ways in which people see informatics supporting the research, supporting patient care, whatever the case may be. You're going to see lots of different ways people use this. Now, I mentioned this again, I know I mentioned this in orientation, but just to share with you, there is a lot of research that's going on that's either informatics focused or using some sort of intervention that's technology. And so we have now, more so in nursing literature, more articles, more research that is documented that describes how informatics is being used. So the Nursing Informatics Work Group that is part of the American Medical Informatics Association gets together usually yearly to look at the state of the literature with regard to informatics. And so this is just a summary of what was found in one of the more recent articles describing the research and the findings. And you can see here the group had 38 articles that they actually included, and they were looking at nursing informatics research only, and actual research projects, because a lot of things in literature you find may describe something, but it may not be a full report of the research. So they found 38 articles that they included in this. They looked at the journal of publication frequency, research methods that were used, research settings, and the focus. They included analysis of those articles, and then they recommended or they included articles, that were recommended by members of the work group that also informed their scholarship. So these are just the databases that they searched, and we met with the library, so I know you all are familiar with the databases that we have access to, that you'll be using as well. This is just an example of how they articulated that, and the results in summary. That they found that EHR and clinical systems remained a focus, and we can see easily as to why that's the case. Public health, community setting, mobile and e-health were emerging areas of research, and again, with all of the mobile technology that we have access to, the tools that patients can use now, we can see how this is obviously an area that's emerging. And then qualitative research is predominantly used in most of these articles. And so this is consistent with the early stages of the specialty. So it's very interesting that informatics is predominantly studied with qualitative research methods, and that's of course just in nursing. but you think about informatics and you usually don't think about qualitative, but this speaks to the idea of the nurse researchers using qualitative research to perhaps explore more about how a particular technology is having an effect or having an impact on either patient or nurses, the environment, etc. This is another example of a similar type of study looking at the types of research. This one just shows the research by setting, so and by year. So you can see the different areas in which nursing informatics research is ongoing. So ambulatory areas, community public health, looking at the continuum of care, health professionals, hospitals, long-term care, and then theory, designs, and standards. And then, of course, there was not applicable category. But you can see the majority of this type of research is going on in hospitals by acute care settings. And this is another slide from that same study, 2017, but just identifying the themes. Clinical decision support and clinical documentation remain a focus. And again, this speaks to the EHR, the power that we have with those EHRs. Patient empowerment and self-care, technology acceptance by patients. And so a lot of times that is heavily studied by researchers. Telehealth standards, social media, use of telehealth to address health disparities and access, patient-reported data. So this is a lot that sometimes even the mobile health or the technologies that we can give patients to use at home and how they're reporting that. Patients being recognized as a stakeholder in this process. Big data, again, that's a big area that's emerging because we have so much data now. We often don't know what to do with all of it and how to make sense of it. And then interprofessional care coordination, shared decision making. And that's an area we probably need to spend more time on because, again, informatics has the capability of pulling in so many different resources from different disciplines and different areas of the healthcare team. This is an example of more work similar in that regard, looking at what has been published in nursing informatics versus medical informatics and those scholarly publications. And you can see the themes that were identified in medical informatics versus those in nursing informatics. And you can also see the number of nursing informatics results that were included in this comparison versus the medical. So you see there's much more dissemination of results from these studies occurring from the medical informatics journals. Now, just a note on this, and as you progress in your research, you will become very familiar with the journals that are focused or specialty journals that are in your realm of research, in your interest area. So in this case, I can tell you very clearly that this Journal of American Medical Association is a highly coveted publication for a researcher to have. So if you're in nursing, if you're in whatever discipline you're in that's related to healthcare, if you're able to get an article published in this journal, that's a very good thing. So it's quite likely that there are nursing studies that have been well done, maybe large sample sizes or multi-site, etc., that have been published in this particular journal, but it doesn't necessarily reflect, because it's categorized as a medical informatics journal, it doesn't necessarily reflect the nurses versus the physicians, etc. So nevertheless, though, you can see how we work to analyze the current state of the literature, and you can see it's going on a regular basis. So we can take this information that we find and we can compare it to agendas that have been presented by organizations that are credible and authoritative, and see if we really are doing the research that we as a particular specialty area think we need to be doing. So it's a way to reflect too. Now, before we go further, I did want to bring up this article that was written by one of my professors in my doctoral program. And the reason I bring it up is because some of the points that she put in this article for designing a successful study, you can see that informatics has a role in that. So the first one is to conduct a comprehensive historical and interdisciplinary review of literature to support the study and the research methods. Now we're going to do a little bit of that this semester in this course, but it's very likely that you'll do a whole lot more as you progress and as you begin to refine your research question that's going to guide your study. Next is to develop a clear, concise, comprehensive purpose statement to guide the study. And again, a lot of that is sort of fleshed out with your literature review and what you find that exists in the literature. Using consistent terminology and order of study variables, and this is something we will talk about in this semester in nursing informatics. Using a finely graduated instrument scale scoring whenever practical. We'll talk a little bit about this when we talk about your data management and plan, because it's very important to consider the type of data that you're going to collect, what it might look like when it comes in, and how you're going to manage it. Using parametric data analysis whenever appropriate, and then calculating the power of your potential sample, and if necessary, modifying the study design. Now, those last couple of things you'll likely get in your quantitative, and you'll, if it's a qualitative study, you'll talk more about that. But these I thought were important points for us to consider here at the beginning, so we can begin to think about how what we're learning in this course is certainly relevant to just about anything we're doing when we use technology in research. Now, I did want to pop over and let you see the course. I'm in student view at the moment, and you can see the left navigation bar. So you can kind of use that to navigate through the course, find things. Your course description, your learning outcomes, some resources are listed here on this home page. There is a page for announcements, and I will post those if necessary. You have your syllabus, and there's a link to the actual syllabus document. And I hope it pulls up. Here we go. We'll preview it. So you can find that information here. And then you'll also see, and I'm in student view, so you can't see everything because there's some things that have not been released yet, but all of your assignments and the due dates will be listed here in the course summary. Your modules will be located under the modules tab. There's some just general information that is posted in all courses. You have some supplemental resources, which I've included the libraries here, both of your libraries, which you know, and keep in mind that we have very good librarians at both sites that can help you. There's a course introduction and just some general information here about how to function in the course. The introduction module is the first thing that you'll review, and it essentially in this we're just going to ask for a little brief welcome video using Flipgrid, and we'll get to that in just a second. And then module 1 starts here, and then once the other modules open, they'll list down below as well. So Flipgrid is located here in the course, and at the moment the only spaces open are the introductions and the module 1 seminar post. So the introductions, please know that you can keep these very informal. We even talked about, I've had I'll bring my dog into the introduction, or your children, whatever. We would just like to have the opportunity to get to know you. But as we progress forward from that, keep in mind that these videos should be like seminar presentations. So they should be a bit more formal. You don't necessarily have to dress in a, power suit, but just be sure that you are speaking well, using clear thoughts, grammar, etc. And there's a rubric that can help you. The rubrics are the same for all of these, and you can refer to those, but you will only have 5 minutes for all of these, and that doesn't seem like a big deal, I know, but a very valuable lesson I learned as a doctoral student was it takes a lot more effort, a lot more thought to really distill your words down and explain something concisely, clearly, and completely in a few minutes versus having 30. So keep that in mind. It's a skill in and of itself, and so that's why we want you to do this. And the other thing is you don't have that opportunity to sit in class with each other because this is an online program. So this is a way for us to sort of see each other, talk to each other, and hear what each other is really thinking. You have an assignments tab as well. Your assignments will be, you should be able to link to them from here, as well as your module. They'll have detailed information about the assignment and what the expectations are, and a rubric. All the assignments should have a rubric. I do not have any discussions here because we're using Flipgrid. I will keep one discussion area open in case you all would like to use it to speak to each other, but otherwise I will not be in and out of this on a routine basis. I may check it from time to time. Your grades will be located here in the grades tab. And then there are a couple other buttons here. The Panopto I don't think we'll use, but this is the content that UAH puts in there, pardon me, that is related to student success. So that's an overview of your course online. I do also want to share with you the calendar. So this is sort of an outline. I'll probably email this to you all once classes start. And this will be the one that we certainly go by. So if there's some sort of error somewhere, because we have to put the dates in different places sometimes, this will be what we go by that's kind of clear. So you can see in most cases, in every module, you're going to have a Flipgrid discussion post, which is that seminar video presentation. And then you also have 4 different assignments: the annotated bibliography, evidence table, Prisma diagram assignment, a secondary data analysis assignment, data management and plan assignment, and a data visualization project. So those are, that sort of outlines what's expected and what's due this semester. and more information about each of those will be available as the course continues to open. So I hope this has been helpful. Please know that you're welcome to contact me at any time to discuss your questions about the course, and we are glad to have you with us.